Hey ladies and gentlemen, as I was watching my video over, I said to myself, damn, I forgot to put that in, I left this out. So I may do slight edits to, I guess, provide detail. Now when you watch this video, please, don't write to me and say, this is offensive. You have to bear in mind that this is reality. Men and women go through different things. We are different but common, and I just want to take that into consideration. So have an open mind, and thank you for checking out my video, and stay safe. Hello, my name is Nicholas, and thank you for checking out this video. The subject is the field of dietetics. But let's be a little bit more specific, not necessarily sexist, as a male in the field of dietetics. Now, I received an email or a message, and this male, he has been pursuing the major, nutrition and dietetics, for approximately 2 years. He contacted me and expressed his concern that it's not what he expected, and he doesn't know whether or not to stick with the major. And I guess in this video he wants me to be not filtered, speak your mind, share some thoughts, because on the internet you really don't come across videos that really give you the facts or the information that is helpful. Now let's keep it real. Here are the facts. Dominantly, dietetics is female. So usually your teachers, professors will be a female, and students. Matter of fact, I better not be sexist, I prefer to have a female as an instructor, professor. Don't ask me why. It's probably because of how I was raised. That's more like sociology, psychology, though. We can't go there. But anyway, a lot of other male students, which are few in number, don't really care for it. Some of them feel that because of how they're graded, because you have to write papers or complete essay-based exams, their high points are probably not writing. Also, some of them may feel that they're treated differently because they're a male. Now, let's just say this. I'm not really here to define the term typical male. Let's just say you're entering a field that is dominantly female, and your style, the way you act, and let's just say you're coming from a different area. It can be somewhat intimidating. Matter of fact, when I was in lecture, some of the guys were intimidated to ask questions, and the female students as well. So I think it's difficult for a male to say, in a female-dominated major, industry, whatever it would be, I'm intimidated. Personally for me, I cannot really use my gender as a way to get by, because quite frankly, I really don't focus too much on that, and it has never came to my attention whether or not I should. Usually, I have other problems. But I can tell you this much, if you are a male and you're the typical male, you know what I mean? It's going to be somewhat tough because you have to watch how you act and what you say. So here's a scenario. Let's just say you're going to visit your professor during office hours. Treat the person how you would like to be treated. Look the individual in the eyes and don't check her out. This may be common sense, but you would be surprised. Understand that this person you're going to be sitting next to will possibly be in your life for the next 3 to 4 years or longer, depending if you make it that far. So the last thing you want to do is create a negative, uncomfortable atmosphere. And trust me, actions can do that. Also, let's just say you have a professor that you dislike for the first class. Understand that that professor may teach more classes. And the last thing you want to do is call anybody out a name, like a bitch. I've heard that. Because you may have that professor again. And yes, she will make your life a living hell. I promise you. I've seen it. I have tutored some students who did not call anybody out a name, but just acted poorly. Maybe did not come to class, on a cell phone while in class, which is the worst thing you can do. And I had to tutor this one student, and there were more than one, but whatever. And I had to tell them the truth. I said, clean up your attitude. The classroom is not your bedroom. But you can't be the typical male alpha attitude, because let's just say you have a female instructor who holds higher than a bachelor's degree. Do you really think that she's going to want to put up with that? No. So she'll make your life a living hell, especially depending on what type of exams you have to complete. So speaking of exams, I can actually tell you a situation I got into, which was not serious by no means. And I wrote in my answer that this individual needs to work out more, take the lifestyle more seriously. I guess I was not being sensitive enough to the person as an answer, but my attitude was, I think in this day and age, if you look at the statistics, the sensitive way of telling somebody, oh, you're doing things right, but you're getting things wrong, doesn't work. And that basically was my answer. Of course, the person who was grading it did not even read my entire answer. Just read the first part, and I guess because she didn't agree with that type of response, just marked it wrong, gave me less points, even though my answer was right. You see what I mean? One time my friend, he says to me, do I have to put in this answer that this person needs to see a psychologist, psychiatrist, and needs to go to group counseling? And you know, he basically responded, I'm not a counseling major. And I understood what he meant. He was right. And it's just because of our answer just wasn't sensitive enough. But if you took the exam of, let's just say, a female, she would focus on that point but leave out the nutrition aspect. And we're sitting there, don't you know your biochemistry, physiology? I've seen these exams. Some people show them to me. Like I said, I was a tutor, and so I would see the answers provided, and it's interesting how a male answers a question versus a female. There are variances here. You know, I was talking to this one guy, and he says, I feel like an outsider. That's what he said to me. And this was in person, by the way. And quite frankly, he's like, should I switch my major? And I stated to him, well, are you interested in nutrition? He's like, yeah. And I said, okay, why don't you do this? Stick with what you're doing now, because you're already in, and focus on the classes that you take interest in. Don't get too caught up, oh, I'm a male, I don't have a chance. I mean, if you keep that in your head, you're going to be a failure, no matter where you go, anyway. So you have to consider, what is your interest? Why did you pursue dietetics or nutrition in the first place? And stick with that. That's what I do. That's what I did, and still do to this day. And that should be your focus point. You would be surprised of what you forget. No matter if your professor is male or female, if you know what you're talking about and you actually partake, read your textbook, participate in class, he or she cannot take that away from you. If you're in class and you're the only one who knows the answers, it doesn't matter whether you're male or female. You, as a person, individual, have the answers. And that will reflect, hopefully, in your grade, right? At least for me, that's what happened. I don't want to forget about this. There was this one particular student that I remember, and I was not friends, but would communicate student relationship. I remember him so well because I would sit across during class, and he was just a quiet person, but intelligent, knew his stuff, but could not really articulate and did not care for the courses at all. I mean, just the MNT alone kind of set him over the edge, and he did not like the special treatment that he felt certain students get, regardless of gender, I must add. There is special treatment that does go on, especially if you are in a CPD. So it doesn't really matter whether you're male or female, actually. If you're in the CPD program, you're going to get points here and there, just because they want to make you look good, because you're already in, so to speak. But anyway, he transferred his major. I was talking to one of his friends, and I said, well, what happened to him? He says he just didn't like it. He didn't like the atmosphere, but I think he's going for public health or exercise science. But just imagine, you spend that much time and you let those little things get to you. Now, do I feel like, for example, if you're applying for a program, the CPD, DPD program, well, some people like to use their gender as a crutch to stand on, but let's just keep it real. Dietetics is dominantly female anyway. And so I guess what the academy is trying to do, and this makes me laugh, they want more males. So I think you, as a male, would probably have a better chance of getting into a program, actually. But how many of those guys actually get to that point? Now, this whole CPD, earning your RDN, registered dietitian nutritionist, is an interesting topic, especially among men who graduate and become a professional in the field of nutrition, but choose not to pursue the credential. And I contact some of these people and say, what's wrong? Do you not measure up? Are you lacking in some way that you don't want to pursue that pathway? Because you're somewhat limited in a way if you choose not to, depending on the person. And their answer is actually the same as mine. In order for you to understand, you would have to get on the inside. So I do notice that a lot of professional nutritionists who are male either have a bachelor's, master, PhD, and they say the same things over and over. And I'm not going to get too much into that, but it's interesting to see how different people, especially in gender, approach. You understand what I mean? And this one guy that I was talking to, he says, well, I'm going to do the DPD and look for an internship. And that's fine. Personally, for me, if you care to know, and I've repeated this over and over again, I'm not really looking to become a RDN. And it's a lot of reasons why, which I probably will cover in a different video. So I hope I answered your question. If you have any more thoughts, concerns, if I did not cover an area that you would like me to talk about, feel free to write, and I would like to hear from you. Thank you so much for checking out my video. Stay safe.